Daniel Island has always been of importance to me and to my family because my grandfather always told stories of Daniel Island. It's his home. It's his ancestral home, and he always made sure that we understood that he was from Daniel Island and that our history was from Daniel Island. He told stories of how he came to Charleston from Daniel Island on a boat at a very young age. I believe he was 8 years old, is how the story goes. So when the island began its development and they created what is now known as Philip Simmons Park, we'd come over to the island with him to see the park as it was emerging. So later in life, I came over to the island to visit my ancestral burial ground, sacred burial ground, where Philip Simmons' grandfather, William Simmons, is buried. I realized that the site was in need of some work. It needed to be cleaned up. It needed to have access because in visiting, I had to climb over a fence to gain access. So I thought that something needed to be done so that I can have access and so that my family could have access and so that other people visiting this sacred burial ground could have access to see where their ancestors are buried. It was at this point that I met with a friend of mine, Jane Baker, who had started working with the Daniel Island Company, and she shared with me that her company could help to support a project such as this, and we connected.
Daniel Island prides itself on the stewardship of the cemeteries on this island. We look forward to working with the Dulles Society and with the Daniel Island Historical Society to both elevate and commemorate these important historic landmarks throughout the course of this project.
After I did my research, I did my proposal, had another meeting with Jane, and she suggested that I needed to meet with Mike Dahlman and Beth Bush, who were the founders of the Daniel Island Historic Society. We met, and that was the birthing of this project.
My name is Mike Dahlman, and my son and I, we moved here with the family 9 years ago, and he started finding things in the woods, and it led to a desire to learn more about the island. There was a joke about possibly creating a book, and be careful what you ask for because that often happens. And over the next year, we actually were able to publish a book. The book led to speaking opportunities, and then the local feature writer for the Daniel Island News, Beth Bush, and I started a relationship, mostly to help her understand some of the things that we were finding and that she was writing about.
My interest in history really began through my work with the local Daniel Island newspaper. I'm a freelance writer and just had an interest and a passion for kind of understanding what came before what we all see here in this beautiful place. I did a couple of stories on the island's development, but it really wasn't until I was actually riding my bike around the island as a resident here and stumbled upon something very interesting. I saw a group of people working at a site, a plot of land in Smythe Park, which is one of our newer residential neighborhoods on the island. I found out it was an archaeological crew doing an excavation of the site, and they had discovered there, through soil markings in the ground, what they believed to be the site of a former slave cabin. I think in that moment, everything kind of took a turn for me. I mean, I was always interested in history, but maybe more on a superficial level, just not really diving in, but that made me realize there was much more to this place that I called home. It wasn't just agricultural fields and a hunting preserve before the island as we know it was developed. There was a lot more to the story that needed to be told. And that was really the spark for me personally to get more involved and find out about those people and who they were and what they did when they were here. When we decided to form the Historical Society, initially we thought, well, some folks may not see the need for such an organization because we don't have physical structures here as they do in downtown Charleston, but we thought we do have stories. And that's really where we felt we had something to tell and something that needed to be explored. And part of that is understanding our island cemeteries, which in many cases are the only example of history that we have. That's what led us into the island cemetery realm and wanting to further understand who is there so that we can appreciate their stories and share them. One of the really significant things that we discovered along the way was that, of course, Philip Simmons, the renowned blacksmith, was born on Daniel Island, and his grandparents were also residents here, and we know that they are buried in the Lesane African American Cemetery, located beside the Family Circle Tennis Center on the island. Through that work, we met Dr. Ade Afunian, who of course is the grandson of Philip Simmons, and found out that he also had an interest in restoring that place. His ancestors are buried there. It was a wonderful connection for us to make with him, and that sort of served as the springboard for where we are today.
This project wouldn't be possible without the support of the Daniel Island Company, the Daniel Island Historic Society, Family Ties, who are doing the oral history and the genealogy, and of course Builders of Our Heritage, who is documenting the project, and the College of Charleston.
Family Ties South Carolina has recently come on board with Gullah Society, and our role will be to do the family genealogical research related to the sacred burial grounds. One of the most exciting things that we've come across is the relationship of the renowned artisan and gate maker Philip Simmons from Charleston, South Carolina. His grandfather is actually buried in one of the 3 cemeteries here on Daniel Island.
Even though my grandfather is no longer with us, work is still being done at the historic shop on Blake Street in downtown Charleston, and his legacy lives on.
There is a lot that I don't know. There's a lot that I can't gain access to. And in partnership with Dr. O and the organization, we have an ability to fulfill a dream, to learn about this segment to which I believe is so important and I am so personally attracted to.
I think as a whole, this entire project is not just about making sure that we tell a story because it should be told or because it needs to be told. I feel like it's our duty to tell it. It's that important, and we all, as a people, as a community of all races and all backgrounds, need to come together and celebrate the lives of these people.